Did you know that 40% of children are raised by single parents in America? It is astounding. As single parents, we have to figure out some life hacks to be able to manage our day-to-day life. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 life hacks that if you apply it to your life, you will begin to manage everything as it relates to being a single parent a lot better. It'll take away some stress. It'll give you a sense of ease. At the end of this video, I'm going to share with you guys my favorite tip that if you apply this one thing, I'm telling you, it will change the game for you. Okay. If you don't know me, I am Coach Kofia. I help women heal and thrive emotionally after any type of breakup or divorce. Welcome to my channel. I remember this like yesterday. We were rushing to try to get out the door. I was rushing to try to get to work. And it was just this overwhelming sense of, how am I going to manage all of this stuff? One of the suggestions that my old first lady gave to me was that, do your kids have a bedtime? And at the time, I was just like, what? Kids have bedtimes? I didn't realize that that was a thing, that kids had bedtimes. And so that sparked my interest. I began to look into what is a good bedtime. Then I started going off on this whole like personal development kick about, having structure and having routines and what are some things that I can put in place. And then as I began to make those adjustments, I now help other women put actual structures in place for them to thrive. And so the first tip is, one of the hacks is you have to create some type of routine. The research is clear. There is an ease, there is a confidence, there is a trust that goes along with providing that for your children. When you first put it into practice, it may be something that they fight initially, but you will begin to see them thrive beyond measure if you start to put some structure in place. The first bit of structure that I put in place was the actual initiation of a bedtime routine. And I started off with just having a bedtime period. My first bedtime that I had for the girls was 8:30, and I began to block off that time. And that time as a single parent, you don't realize how much that is going to free you up to do other things, free you up to relax, free you up to have peace and quiet that you may not get when your kids are with you. And so that bedtime, putting them to bed at a specific time, and whatever time is allotted that's left over is your time to work on whatever the things that you want to work on. So starting out with a bedtime based on the kids' ages, and you start this by saying, what is the goal? My goal was, I didn't want to rush out the door. I wanted to set my kids up for success. I knew what it was like to be rushed out the door and be in a bad mood because the morning didn't go right, or something just kicked off and somebody was in a bad mood. And so I didn't want to pass that on to my girls, right? So what is the end goal for you and your family? It's really just figuring out what are the age of your kids and what would work best for them. And it doesn't have to be so structured like every 30 minutes, but really it's just like, what are the 3 things that you want to get done from the time they get home from school and the time that you get home from work up until the time that they go to bed? And then based on those 3 things, then how can you do that in what order? And then do it. And then when it's time for everybody to go to bed, help them facilitate sleeping in their own bed, in their own room, or if you share in a room, because I know what that's like. If you share in a room, then it means you get all your stuff out of the room and you go in the living room and you do not fall asleep with them. You let them sleep on their own. It will change your life. You gotta be able to have time for yourself. And this for me was just really about building community. And it's one of the things that I used to talk to my clients with the state about, because these moms were in dire situations and they usually are in those situations because they don't feel like they have a lot of support. Well, sometimes you don't have a lot of support initially, but that doesn't mean that you can't create that type of support. And so that's what it's about. How can I create a sense of community for the family that I have? And so that means having relationships, building relationships. Do I need to go to church, or do I need to make friends with my neighbors? Do I need to make friends with my coworkers to really kind of vet them and see if I can build friendships with them so that they can support me on this single parent journey? So the struggle I had with building community is I did not want to ask people for help. I didn't want to ask them to um, I didn't want to ask them to help support me or support my kids or any of that. It was hard because I had to be vulnerable with people and let them know, hey, I cannot do this by myself. I really need somebody else to help me. And that was that was the hardest part. After I got over myself and I realized that in Genesis, God created Adam, and he said, you know what, it's not good for man to be alone. He wasn't just talking about in a romantic relationship. He was talking about it wasn't good for man to be by himself. It was good for man to have companions, to have friends, to have somebody that they can relate to. And as single parents, sometimes we can be so consumed with taking care of our kids that we overlook and almost discredit the value that maintaining those friendship relationships can do for us in the long run. Now, here's the thing that helped me. I reached out to, and this may not be your situation, but I reached out to my kids' grandparents. I reached out to my mom, my dad. I reached out to, those are the main people. And I asked them, I said, hey, could we get on a schedule to where I get every Saturday from 8 to noon where somebody can keep the kids and that time is just for me. And it worked out. Like it worked for a long while. They provided such support for me. And maybe you don't have those grandparents. Maybe you don't have people close to you. Well, if you are in a city by yourself, I encourage you, if you're a believer, get connected. A lot of people think that going to church is just about getting the word and it's just about developing your gifts and it's just about paying your tithes or no. Going to church is about building community of people that's going in the same direction as you. Going to church is about connecting with like-minded people and literally making them a part of like a family. And what do family do? Family take care of one another. They stick together. They be there for each other. They provide support. They provide resources. They provide their time. And so if you are a single mom, I implore you to literally make relationships with people and connect with others. Get outside of yourself. You cannot do it alone. You're bound to have some type of failure or disaster when you try to go at this journey alone. Now, hack number 3 is one of my favorite hacks, and I kind of mentioned at it before, is really having time to take care of myself. And part of this is something that you have to really develop a skill to do and maximize your time. I had to maximize all of the time that I had without my kids and make sure that I was using that time not just frivolously, but really intentionally making sure I was filling myself up. So that means my free time wasn't all about just consuming garbage. It was about consuming things that would encourage me, that would motivate me, that would inspire me to keep going. And so my car rides, no longer listen to music. I needed to do things that was going to feed my soul, my spirit. Um, Time in the bathroom, in the tub, I'm listening to podcast episodes. I am reading books, listening to them on audio. That's part of my self-care. I am making sure I'm scheduling time to pay my bills and budget and make sure I have all that outlined. That's a part of my self-care because when I'm walking around and I'm worried about things, it's because I haven't put it on paper and figured out a plan for whatever this or in a solution to whatever the problem is. So I encourage you to do these 3 things. First, you need to set a schedule. Then you also need to work on building a community. And the third thing is you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. When you do these 3 things, I promise you, your life will begin to change. If you need help in these areas and you're like, I don't even know where to start, look, I can help you. Okay. Send a text message to me. My phone number, I'm going to leave it here on the screen, 816-607-1701. I literally help women heal and thrive emotionally after any type of breakup or divorce. Text me the word HACKS, HACKS, and I will know that you've watched this video and that you would like some help getting these hacks implemented into your life. We can set up a time um, to have a conversation and see how I can best serve you. Okay. I hope you have been enjoying these episodes. I am extremely excited about bringing this information to you. We have talked about the awareness, we have talked about forgiveness, we have talked about reclaiming your identity, and then today we've mastered this whole single parenting and how to navigate and manage that. And so in the next episode, we're going to be talking about how do you begin to pursue your purpose beyond your children? How do you begin to pursue your purpose beyond your day-to-day life? Like, how do you begin to walk in that? And some ways to, maybe if you haven't determined what your purpose is, how you can get more clarity on what that looks like. So I hope that you will definitely stay tuned for that episode. If you haven't watched the other videos in this series beforehand, definitely go watch them. Let me know in the comments below, how have you been enjoying this video or any takeaway that you've had? And please like this video. It definitely helps it get out to more people. And it is really my effort in spreading the gospel. So y'all go be great. By what? Mastering what's on your plate. We'll talk soon. Later.